Hi guys, so I was doing what I do when I have a sick kid, and Penny's sick today, and I am starting to make soup, and I thought, oh, this would be a great time to teach how to make soups. So I'm going to really quickly show you the base of how to make soup. There is a step-by-step process, and we'll go through that, but the first step is building layers, and in those layers are building flavors. The first one you want to do is your vegetables. So in here I have as you can see, the matchstick carrots, and you see that brown, that is minced mushrooms. That's just to give it a little more texture in your mouth. There's also some dried onion, onion powder, and a stick of butter, because we're going to start cooking these down to work on the flavors. So while this is slowly, see it's on low, while this is slowly cooking down, we're going to be adding stuff to this. And the next thing we're going to be adding are these potatoes. And I love these little potatoes because they're easy to cut. That's it. That's the only reason I love little potatoes. I use potatoes for two reasons. When you make a soup, there's three ways of thickening a soup. You can do a roux with it, which is with flour. So those who are gluten intolerant cannot have soups with roux. The second is to do a slurry, which is with cornstarch, which is gluten friendly. But the third way is to make a chowder. And a chowder is any soup that is with potatoes. The starch in the potatoes, as the potatoes cook, seeps into the soup, and that starch thickens your soup naturally. I love making chowders. One, because my kids really like potatoes. Who doesn't like potatoes? And two, then I don't have to worry about it thickening. It'll thicken on its own, whether the potatoes are in broth or whether it's in a cream. I always do a cream just because that gets my kids their dairy in, and I have very, very picky eaters. So I'm going to work on cutting these potatoes. So I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to go to the next step. Okay, so you can see, cut up all our potatoes. I tried to make them all around the same size. I mean, they're different size potatoes, so it's not the easiest. But you don't want giant, huge honks of potatoes. And a lot of people say you want them the same size for cooking, which normally is true. But this is going to be in a soup, and it's going to be simmering for a long time. So these potatoes are going to all cook. Doesn't matter. The reason you want them all the same size is because with a soup, what you're trying to do is get as much of the flavors in one spoonful. You kind of miss the point of a soup if you can only get one potato in your mouth at a time, or a giant piece of carrot at a time. That's not a soup. The soup is made so you've got all these different flavors, all these different textures meshing together at the same time in one mouthful. And you can do one bite at a time, and they all taste good separately, but they also need to meld together so they have one cohesive bite. So all I'm doing now is kind of mixing it up. You can see my carrots are starting to soften. Mushrooms soften real fast. But what we're going to try to do, see, you can see the butter at the bottom, the oil. We're trying to coat the potatoes with the oil, and then what we're going to try to do is brown those potatoes a little bit on the outside, and that is just to bring more flavor, because soup is all about building flavors and getting those flavors. So I'm going to lay it all out, and I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to put it on about 3. It will not burn, and I'm not going to touch it while I go and cut my chicken. Now I'm doing chicken just because my kids like chicken. You can do any protein you want. You can do sausage, you can do ham, you can do ground beef, you can do chicken, you can do turkey. any kind of protein you want. The protein does not matter. You just want to think of the flavor profiles you're doing. So right now we have carrots, mushrooms, a little bit of dried onion, and potatoes. We're building a chowder. I know it's going to be cream based. And I know that my protein will be chicken. So we're going to think of vegetables and flavors that go with how we're building. And at the end of this, I'm going to, like I did with the salads, show you a step-by-step of how you build. But I'm showing you how to build it first, because I started before I thought. So this is a little backwards, but I'll probably do a whole separate video with the build map of a soup. So I'm going to let this simmer. I'm going to go get my chicken breast. I'm going to dice them in same size as the potatoes. Okay? And once I get that done, I get that in the pan with the potatoes, I'll come back. I'm going to pause you. Okay. So, see, I haven't moved it, but I'm going to start moving it. See how the potatoes, some of them are starting to get a little color. They're definitely not burnt. But you can see, and they're definitely really, really hard. Like, it's not like they've cooked a lot, which is fine. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to get some color on them so they have a little more flavor. And also, if you brown the outside of the potato, as they cook in your broth, they don't turn to mush. They stay kind of more intact. That, I'm going to turn this up a little bit just so it cooks a little faster since I'm standing right here. But that browning that potato kind of puts a protective barrier around it. So the inside cooks, but it doesn't turn into mashed potatoes. It'll still stay that piece that you want. So we're going to let that brown a little faster. Here's my chicken pieces. You can see I put pepper on them, but we're going to start doing herbs and stuff as well, because right now these are the things that we're going to be cooking together before we add it to the cream. But I wanted to stop for a minute and talk a little bit about how I like to season chicken. So I do black pepper, which I've done, but then I have this chicken bouillon. The cores, I get it at Walmart in this giant thing. It's in the Mexican food section. I love this. I like it better than regular chicken bouillon just because, and I'll show you. Down for just a sec. As you can see, there's little specks of other things than just chicken bouillon. There's green, I make chicken stock out of this. It's real easy. Tells you how to make chicken broth. And then you always have it on hand, so if you ever need to add chicken broth, you can just quickly make it. And it also has, as you can see, cornstarch, which also is a thickener. So I like to use this dry to season my chicken instead of salt, because you can see it says the sodium is 540 grams. Sodium is salt. This is mostly salt. So it's salt, but it also has a little bit of other stuff in it. A little more flavoring. Good for chicken, garlic, onion extract. So it's like super salt. And I use this to flavor my chicken. And I just sprinkle it on. You know, and then, now, I'm not worried about cross-contamination because this is going to go into here and it's all going to cook together. If the chicken was not going into that pan, I would definitely not use this spatula to toss it. But since they're all going together, I'm going to do that. And you want to be able to see the seasoning. So you mix it real good. You can see there's a lot of the chicken that still does not have the seasoning. So I need my black pepper. And black pepper, white pepper, whichever one you want to do, doesn't matter. I like black pepper because I like to see the pepper. I like to see that it's seasoned. If you want to use white pepper, that's fine. White pepper is good for cream sauce because you don't see it. It makes your cream sauce look creamy, which is fantastic. I'm not going to put any more of the chicken seasoning on there just because I don't want it to get too salty. Because we are going to be making some chicken broth as well. This is just to kind of season the chicken. So we're going to go back here. You can see, oh, there you can start seeing the color. See, right here, it's right here, browning of the potatoes. That's what you want. You want, and don't worry, you're not trying to cook the potatoes. You're just trying to get that outside crust on as much of the potatoes as you can so they don't turn into mashed potatoes when you're cooking it down. So I'm going to spread it out a little bit. Keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing this until most of it's brown. I'm going to pause because this takes a little bit of time, and then I'll unpause when I add the chicken and talk to you a little bit more about why we're not concerned about the chicken and things like that. So give me a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, here we go. Now you can see it looks in places really dark. They're not burnt. And you'll see as it cooks that those are just, the darker brown you go, the more flavor you have. You know, they're not burnt. They are just, as people put, charred. But you can see we've got a nice char on a lot of it. So to finish it off, we're going to add the chicken. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pour the chicken in. I did not have time to set up my phone holder thingy. So here's the chicken. And same with the chicken. We don't want our chicken to be boiled, where if we were to put the chicken raw into, which you can put the chicken raw if you're doing like a chicken noodle soup into your stock, and that's fine. It'll make it shred. And for some soups that'd be great, but for this soup, for chowders, you really don't want shredded chicken. You want the chunks, because chowders are a chunky soup and it feels like you have a little more substance. So you want to be able to take a bite of that potato, that chicken, and those kind of things. So I've lowered it back down to 3. And I'm going to do like I did with the potatoes, and I'm going to spread it out, let the chicken get a little bit of color on it, and then I'm going to start setting up my crock pot, because this is going to sit in my crock pot so I don't have to watch it and constantly adjust the temperature. So give me a second while this chicken cooks and I set up my big crock pot. We'll go to the next step. Okay, there we go. Our chicken is all done. You see everything has nice color to it. If it's not all cooked through, that's okay. You don't have to worry about the chicken being cooked through, because we're not eating it in this form. We just want the outside color. The potatoes have good color. Remember those dark pieces, you can see they're mushrooms. So I've got the stove turned off, so I'm just let this sit here for a minute. Here's my big crock pot. I'm doing a big crock pot because whenever I do soup, I do two things. I do it for my meal prep that I do for my husband for his job, but I also give it to neighbors. I have some neighbors that I really care about, and whenever I make soup, I send it over to them because I know the health benefits of soup. So in here, I've made the chicken stock. This is 2 cups of the chicken stock with that powder that I showed you. You can see all the other stuff that's in there. So now I'm going to put in the potatoes, chicken, and you can see like right here, this chicken's not cooked. It doesn't matter because it's going to sit in here for a few hours cooking. I do have it on high. So give me a moment. I'm going to dump the chicken. Okay. All right. So I'm just give this a good stir. You can see all those bits going into that broth. Now, like I said, this is going to be a cream-based soup just because my kids tend to eat it better if it's cream-based. I'm going to give it a good stir to get all that flavor. That broth I put at the bottom is just going to help with flavoring the cream. So, also I got some real skinny kids. They need to put some fat on their bones. So, never go wrong with cream soup. Now, this is one of the most important parts of creating a soup. Your herbs. People don't realize that in their pantry, they have a lot of herbs that can help their health. Herbs back in the day were medicine. We didn't have drugs. People didn't have, a pharmacy. They used their garden to make them feel better. They didn't know why. They just knew it worked. So, I made a list of normal things people find in their pantry and put some of the health benefits. And when you make soups and things, you not only want to think about how it's going to taste, but you're going to think about what you're trying to heal. So like in a lot of soups, there's garlic, and I know it says for brain memory and stuff. Nausea relief is ginger, anti-inflammatory, it's turmeric in different ways. So it helps a lot with different things. So if you were to, here, let's Google, and I'll show you how I learned how to do this. Health benefits. Oh, we'll start there, of bay leaves. All right, so right there, it helps with improved digestion, blood sugar, and enhanced respiratory health. So these kind of things, you look up each herb and they'll tell you exactly what they're there for. The enhanced respiratory health. My daughter has a cough. This could help with that. Can go, and we'll do, so another thing that's real common, garlic. Boosts the immune system, lowers high blood pressure, reduces cholesterol levels, and has powerful anti-inflammatory. So if my daughter has a cough, we obviously need her immune system boosted, but other things like powerful anti-inflammatory. When you cough, your lungs are inflamed. So will this help her cough? It could possibly, can't hurt. And this is how you not only build flavors, but you build medicine through your food. You look at what you are ailing from, and then you look at the health benefits. And if that health benefit might help what you're trying to fight, go ahead and throw it in there. Let's do rosemary. Rosemary is in a lot of in a lot of soups. Once again, boosts immune function, improves digestion, reduces inflammation. So rosemary, another good thing for soup, another good thing for colds, another good thing for coughs, anything that's inflamed. It potentially reduces stress and anxiety. That's why you see a lot of those herbs in the smells when you're meditating. So these things aren't just things that they come up with on their own. These are medical benefits that have been proven, and you got to remember, back in the day, herbs were medicine. Herbs were expensive. You grew your own. If you couldn't grow your own, you paid a lot for them. And we're very lucky that you just Google search it. Let's do my favorite herb, tarragon. Reducing inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, regulates blood sugar, boosts digestion. So you diabetic, tarragon is a great herb to add to your food, and it is one of my favorite. It's traditionally used for pain relief, aiding in sleep, and fighting bacteria. It has antibacterial properties. It contains antioxidant, iron. So if you have iron deficiency, add tarragon to your food. It will help you. These things are all there to help. So this is very important and it's fun. It's fun to do. So when you're sitting there and you're making your soup, and now it's time to add the herbs, because you add the herbs when you add when it's going to simmer. So my daughter has a cough. She's not feeling that great. So we're going to add things that help with anti-inflammatory. We're going to add things that her tummy hurts. So we're going to help with things that help with digestion, the bloating, to take that off. Anything that is like pain reducing, anything that is good for your immune system, we're going to add all those in there because we want her healthy. And this is a great way to do it. We don't have to give her pills. We don't have to give her cough syrups or anything. We just give her food. So I'm going to pull out my herbs and decide which herbs I'm going to use, and then I'm going to pause and pull those out, and I'm going to show you and explain why I'm putting each one in and how we're going to do that. So give me a minute. Okay, so these are the ones I'm going to go with. Usually I would go with a lot more, but I do want my little girl to like it, and she is not big on a lot of different flavors. So we're going to start with garlic. Now, remember, you've got this giant pot you are doing, and you season with love, as I'm sure you've heard the saying. So I have this giant thing of crushed garlic, or minced garlic, I should say. I'm going to take about 2 big teaspoonfuls. Just put it straight in there. Now, the rest of my herbs I'm going to be using are dried herbs, and I want them really finely grind. Like thyme leaves, they aren't really, they're pretty chunky, and if she sees this floating around in there, she won't eat it. Same with rosemary leaves. So I learned in culinary school this little trick. This is, I think I got it for $12. It is a coffee grinder. But I don't use it for coffee. You can see all the spice in there. I use it for spices. And what I use it for is to grind them up very powder-like. This is great for it. It's a lot cheaper than a spice grinder, let me tell you, but it does the same exact thing. And I want my own kind of powdery mixture. So we're just going to add enough in here. Because we got all that. That's just the thyme and the rosemary. So I'm gonna sit and grind this up. I do have bay leaves. I'm gonna put 2 or 3. Now with bay leaves, 2 things about bay leaves. 1, never grind them up. You want them as whole as you can because they're non-digestible. So if you were to eat a bay leaf, it would be like eating glass. It would go through you and cut you all up, and you would be not good. So whenever you use bay leaves, I'm sure you see all the little pieces in mine. Those will be thrown away. I'm not even going to chance it. You want as whole of leaves as you can get. You never grind them up. You never chop them up. You leave them as intact. So, I mean, that's good. That's okay, because if you see that floating in your thing and after it sits for a while, we are going to pull them out so they don't accidentally get eaten. You never ever want small pieces of bay leaf because they do not digest, they do not break down, and they could really hurt someone. But they have a lot of healthy benefits. So you don't have to have giant full pieces. Let's see, I think this is a full one. And we're just going to put them in there. But those bigger pieces where you as the cook know, okay, before I serve this, I got to pull these out and count how many you have. Remember how many you have so you can pull them all out. So I'm going to plug in my spice grinder. I'm going to sit you right here for just a minute. I'm going to grind this up and I'll show you the powder that it makes. Okay. And then I just flip it over, give it a good old tap. Okay. So as you can see, it turned all these big pieces into this powder. I'm going to put all of that in. I know it looks like a lot, but got to remember we're adding a lot of liquid to this. Okay. I'm going to add chives. I'm going to add these whole. They're already chopped. They're dried. And a lot of people ask why the difference between dried herbs and fresh herbs. I like dried herbs because they're more potent. They you can use less to get more flavor, which is what we want. So got those going on. Sorry about that. My phone almost died. I had to hurry and plug it in, and it paused as I ran to get my charger. So I'm going to give that a good stir. So as these herbs cook down, their flavors, because they're getting hydrated back in the stuff, the flavors will release. You can see how much darker that broth is. That's the flavoring that's going to go in there. Okay. We don't got tons of broth. See, very little. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the cream. Give your cream. I always use heavy cream or whipping cream. The reason I do that is because you can simmer it. You don't really want this to ever come to a boil, but you can simmer it for a long time and it should not separate. The heavier the fat, the less likely it is to separate. So we're going to add this one. And you can see that cream goes from white to like a light brown. All right. And I'm gonna do one more. Give it a good shake, pull it apart. All right. I'm gonna do, I want it to get, let me empty this. There we go. I want it to get right about, so there's, I'm not good with measurements, my husband will tell you, but you want some room between the top and your lid. But you also want plenty of broth because you gotta think when you want soup, you want that broth. That broth is good. The broth is where all the herbs are. It's where a lot of the flavoring is. You can see all those dark bits that I said were charred. You can see now that, yeah, those were charred. The flavoring went into the broth, okay? Now you're not going to taste this broth yet because the herbs and stuff haven't cooked into it. And that's another thing. Soup takes a while, and as it cooks down, you're going to continuously taste and add. The very last thing you're going to add is salt. Don't keep adding salt, keep adding salt, keep adding. Don't do that. Add your herbs. You want to be able to taste them. If you want it to be rosemary heavy, or if you want it to be garlic heavy, let it cook for about 30 minutes. Taste it. If you taste the herb after about 30 minutes, don't add any more. Let it simmer some more. I'm going to do it on high until I see this cream is heated up in a rolling bubble, and then I'm going to turn it to either low or warm. You don't want this boiling. One, it'll burn on the bottom. Two, it will get chunky and bleh. So that's what you want to do. What I'll do is I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to probably post it. I'm going to post the video on the map to building a soup, so you can build all the soups you want. And then I'll do a part 2 of this soup where the soup is completely done and you can see what it turned out, and I can tell you how much I added going forward. So I hope this helped you make soup, and soup can be a great tool in your using food for your health. So, love you.